On this video, I'm gonna give you the 5 life hacks that I learned in the military that I use every day in my business now. What's up? My name is Bill Allen. I'm a military pilot turned full-time real estate investor. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the military and what it did for me in my real estate business, my flipping and wholesaling business. There's a few things that I learned along the way that have been massively impactful to me, and I use them on a regular basis inside my companies. The first one is being resourceful. This is something that I see that a lot of people out there don't really understand or do. In the military, there's a lot of times where we had very limited resources to get the mission accomplished. And in fact, over my time flying for them, they would continuously take away resources and tell us that we need to do more with less. And so what I've been able to do inside my business is figure out how to be more resourceful, how to use the amount of money that we have or the manpower to be creative and strategic inside the company to get a maximum return on our capital or our manpower. The way that I do that is I really kind of look at what's needed and what we can accomplish and how we can be more efficient with our time and figure out how to use some different strategies, different people, different skills to get a better output for the business. Being resourceful is something that I figured out how to do in the military. When we had less hours to fly, we might have to hot seat people in and out of the helicopter to get our qualifications done and things like that. Same thing in our company. One thing that we do that's very big is kind of cross-train people. So that way if somebody's sick or somebody goes down inside the company, somebody else can step up and understand where things are, what they need to do, and the workload that they need to pick up to accomplish that task for that mission. Number 2 comes from something called operational risk management. So inside of the military for us as aviators, we had something called ORM, operational risk management. And in there are some kind of rules and like laws to follow. This one is making risk decisions at the appropriate level. And so this is something that for me, as I was in the military, I learned that there were certain decisions that I could make and certain decisions that I couldn't make. So the commanding officer is the head of the squadron, and then you have an executive officer, then you have department heads, then you have division officers, then you have chiefs, then you have enlisted folks, and it just kind of goes down. And each decision is made at an appropriate level. So what I find inside my company a lot is that people are making decisions sometimes at an inappropriate level. Or they're not making the decision and they're actually running it up the flagpole, like up to me as the owner, to make a decision that is absolutely falls in their wheelhouse. So make risk decisions or any decisions in your business at the appropriate level. And what I found is a lot of times as I'm coaching and mentoring other house flippers and wholesalers, what they'll tell me is like, man, I'm making all the decisions. Everyone's asking me what I should do. They say, man, I'm making all the decisions and everyone is asking me what to do. Well, I tell them, the problem is you're making the decision for them. You're not pushing back. Anytime they come to you with a question, you're giving them an answer. So instead, if it's a decision that should be made at their level, then what you should do is say, what do you think you should do? And see what they say and say, all right, well, how come you felt like you had to come to me with that question? And what they're doing is they're looking for validation. They're looking for you to give them the answer. And when you give them the answer, you just train them to come back to you. So making risk decisions or any decision inside your business at the appropriate level is really important. The other side of that coin is when you have people that are entry-level employees that are making decisions that the CEO should be making, that's a big problem too. And you have to squash that and say, look, that decision is not for you to make. I appreciate you taking the initiative to do that. However, next time I need you to talk to me about that. And that can be an ongoing thing where you might pass that down. Over time, you can actually delegate that back down to them or say, hey, I think you've earned the right to make these decisions going forward. You can make that decision now. Before I go on to number 3, if you have been watching these videos for a while and it's valuable, subscribe to my channel, like it, share it with a friend. I would really appreciate it if you did that. All right, number 3 is problem solving. So in the military, I was taught to solve very complex problems. And what I found, I was a helicopter pilot and a fixed wing trainer in fixed wing airplanes. And problem solving was huge. I had to take a little bit of information in, I had to understand what was going on, take situational awareness, and make a decision. But it trained me to solve problems. I can put very complex puzzles together. I can look at things and adjust the timelines and just be able to solve massive problems. And the more problems you can solve, the bigger problems you can solve, the more money you'll get paid. So the more money you make, equals bigger problem solved. So especially in real estate, where we're constantly trying to solve problems, we're playing chess, we're focusing on the seller's problems and issues, and we're trying to solve those problems in a creative way such that we can make massive returns, whether we're going to wholesale a property, we're going to flip it. If you can solve the problems, you're probably the boss. So that's what I learned in the military, is solving problems and making decisions quickly, and taking the information that I have to then figure out what the best solution is going to be. I use this in my business on a regular basis. I'm like the chief problem-solving officer of the company. And if, like I said in the one before this, if people are coming to me with problems that should be solved at their level, I'm passing it down to them. However, if it's a complex problem that needs a solution, I absolutely want to be the one to solve it, because that is my value. That's the value that I bring to the company. And I learned that very quickly in the military. It was on me to solve the problems, and a lot of times I didn't have anybody else looking over my shoulder. When I was signing for that airplane or that helicopter and taking out a crew of 4 or 6, or we're dropping off 10 SEALs somewhere, I had to make the decisions and I had to solve the problems, and I had to act quickly with limited information sometimes. And that's what we do in business on a regular basis. So the more problems you can solve, the better you can get at that, the better you're going to be as a business owner, and the more money you're going to make. All right, number 4 is another principle of operational risk management. It's only make risk decisions when the benefits outweigh the costs. So what I learned in flying helicopters and airplanes is when I'm making a risk decision, in that case, it was life and death, right? We made some decisions that were life and death. And in there, I had to make a decision only when the benefits outweigh the costs. So when I'm looking at something risky and I'm trying to decide whether I should say yes or no to this, I'm looking at cost-benefit analysis. Same thing now in business when I'm looking at spending some money on marketing, or I'm looking at hiring another person, or I'm looking at bringing on some sort of CRM or another system or operational tool that's going to cost money or time. I'm going to look at the cost of that, whether it's time or money, and I'm going to look at the benefit. And I'm going to look at the probability of hitting that benefit. So if there's a 80% probability of us doubling our revenue by spending $10,000, then I'm probably going to do that, right? And so the risk decision in business isn't life or death usually, right? But it's about money, it's about income, it's about the future of our people on our team and our staff. And so inside of that, I'm looking at the benefit and I'm looking at the cost and making a decision there. And it says only make risk decisions when the benefits outweigh the costs. So if the benefits aren't outweighing the costs, I'm not making that decision. I'm not saying yes, I'm not pressing go on that spend or that hire or that time that we're going to spend on another initiative. All right, number 5, and this really should be number 1 in your books. This is probably the most important thing that I learned from the military, flying for them, is we spend more time, way more time, on the debrief of a flight than we do on the actual flight and operation itself. And what I mean by that is we would go out and fly these missions. We might fly a very complex mission on night vision goggles at night, over the mountains, landing in the desert, picking somebody up, dropping somebody off, maybe fast roping SEALs into a landing zone, something like that, right? Or maybe landing on the ship at night when it's rocking and rolling on night vision goggles and it's dangerous. Well, we would spend a lot of time in pre-flight practice looking at that, analyzing the ship, understanding the deck, the angles, and for the dropping off SEALs, understanding the landing zone. Where are the mountains? Where's the risk? Like, right? Where is the enemy? And what does it look like? And what are our contingency plans? And we would think about that and plan and plan and plan. And then we would brief it before we went fly. And then the flight was maybe like an hour and a half long. And then we'd spend 2 or 3 hours afterwards in the middle of the night, sometimes at 2 a.m., debriefing everything for another 2 or 3 hours. And so much pre-flight planning goes in, so much briefing goes in before the flight so that we're all ready and prepared and all on the same page. And then when we go do the exercise, whatever happened then, we talk about it on the debrief. What worked, what didn't work, and what should we do better next time? So the goods, the bads, and the others. So what was good, what was bad, and what else is out there that might be other. Like it was okay, we could probably improve on it and repair it the next time. So same thing in business. When we're doing a launch or we're doing a marketing campaign or we have a sales appointment, doing your pre-work in a sales appointment, going on that, like doing pre-work, understanding it, running your comps, running your ARVs, getting all the different comps in the area, understanding what roads are out there, what school systems are there, what are they likely to sell for? What happens if they want more money or less money? Or what if they want to rent it out or another realtor is competing with us? And we're doing all that work ahead of time so that when we go on the appointment, we're prepared and the appointment might only take an hour, but I might have done 2 hours of pre-work before that to get prepared for that appointment. And then afterwards, if I get the deal or don't get the deal, debriefing that. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What could I do better next time? How can I sharpen my axe? So all of those things in spending time in the pre-op and the post-flight to figure out how to get better at my craft, make sure every single time I'm improving and developing. So this is my favorite one. This is number one in my books. This is the thing that the military taught me that I wish that everybody knew about. It's spending more time in the debrief and the preparation of any exercise, anything that we do. And I use it in business every day. I spend time thinking about it, drafting it, looking at contingencies, and then afterwards, debriefing this event, debriefing this appointment, debriefing this marketing campaign that we launched. And this is going to be massively impactful for you if you can focus there. And look at the numbers, look at the data to define and adjust what you're going to do next time. All right, I know this is impactful for you guys. The military has a lot of lessons in business. And what I want you to do next is I want you to click this link and watch the next video where I talk about the top 10 reasons why military members are successful in flipping houses.